So, hello everyone. Today is like the fifth meetup for me here, and today's session will be related to completely new thing. From completely new angle, we're gonna work with things like a team, agile, people insight, and communication. Until that day, there was no here such topic as a team topology, and things related inside this new really developing in this moment of time discipline in IT sphere. I'm really proud that I had chance to present you this approach that was used several times by me in different companies and different projects. Actually helped us organize and be productive. So that's me. For those who don't know me, my name is Andrei. Now I'm already 18 years in development. Okay. Worked different companies with different sites on different fields and domains, from banking to healthcare, and this approach can be applied in any of these fields with some limitation, which I will mention there. And we're gonna touch it from the beginning, like from the words I use. I really like to use it as they define it, so we don't like mess around with the terms. And we go to cases, which cases I face it when I think about team, how it should be composed, what people do inside the team itself, and in agile. These two parts, of course, has to be defined, or like some way we need to walk through them. Then we go to approach and the solution for cases. I describe it in a second, because a different way we can approach them depending on the approach we use, right? So it can be done one way or another. So let's meet, you know me. I would like you to ask who is project manager here. Quite a few. Okay, that's fine. Who is like a team lead position? Right. Okay. Great. Maybe there are some architects here. Who is kind of worked as a Scrum Master in a way? No, nobody. Okay, that's fine. Why it's interesting, because like we're talking about Agile, and Scrum Master is not here because maybe they don't want to know about Agile anymore. They know a lot, maybe even more than me. That's why we start with some terms. So of course we'll talk about team, because the name is Teamless, mean like they won't be a team anymore, right? No. The thing is, we're gonna work on something together, right? As a group of people, and we're gonna work on a project, on a business. But team is not a good word here when we are talking about this approach, because this approach about something bigger than just a small amount of people working together. Why not? Because this kind of joke with words based on the approach in big data or architecture, infrastructure approach comes to serverless architecture. Let's come here, we're in Teamless Agile as an architecture for our team topology comes here as well. And we should understand that people work together, first of all, towards some goal. And this goal is quite big one. It's not just something within the moment, or let's say 2 weeks or something. It's quite big and bigger than the team. That's why they're working together continuously, temporary, not just permanently, not temporary. And team topology is something that comes over that. Agile is telling us how we should organize people inside one team the better way, so they produce it. And team topology is something that describes things that was not before. When we are talking about organizational structure, how these all parts of a company work together. And they also started, as person who described this one, thought about DevOps, DBA, infrastructure team, how they interact with development. and they found different approaches, this different combination, and analyzed it in depth, different frameworks, different implementation of Agile. And Agile itself, lots of people understand this term differently because like many people, too many people involved right now in IT, and they have different understanding in depth of Agile manifesto. At best, they understand values, but it seems like not so many people know about principles here. There's 12 principles under the hood. They also goes alongside values. And of course, some of Agile implementation actually contradicts with Agile Manifesto itself. Why not? Because since we are all developers, we know sometimes that implementation of interface can contradict with interface, with mistakes, because thanks to compiler, these bugs are highlighted, which we cannot say about people who don't want to be a software developers but want to work in IT, so they go to BA and Scrum Masters. So it's not something that we should expect that every Agile implementation actually follows Agile. That's fine. We are people, we can work this out somehow. So the cases. Mostly there differs based on the amount of people working together, right? So generally we start as a, I don't know, middle or senior developer working with like several people, 3, 2, 4. For that is just a part of the team, a small one. We need to organize them towards a goal so they can deliver something, piece of code, technical task, whatever. Then this is more or less average team, 5 to 7 people. Why average? We do not think mostly about team that actually involves some PM, product owner, delivery manager, other stuff that outside of that, right? Maybe this is just team of software developers, but this is a big one, what they do, how they work. Also have such experience. And remote team, of course. Lots of people work remotely nowadays. And maybe semi-divided team, where actually there is one team formally, but they are working in 2 different directions, so 2 different components, because company has no understanding or idea how they should work with the people. So it's semi-divided. An extremely cross-functional team, that's what I really like, that people actually work in the team, but they are just one person working on this specific type of tasks. They cannot really talk about the same thing in the team. Platform team or team of teams, where the company tend to organize the core functionality, but the team tend to grow 20 people, 30, 40 people in this platform, and the platform team have to work with other streams in the project. And medium, 20 to 40 people, and large. You may wonder, for each of this case, the solution is different, for sure, but we will try to map the approach to these cases in the end. So what is the team then? Generally, team in IT is mostly, when we won't touch salesperson team, right? Some other stuff, like we are talking about someone who produces the product, right? So this is generally software developers first, that comes to our mind, then QA engineers. So these 2 types of people here works more than others, but actually others do something else. Like PA and product owner, they also produce something, ideas, requirements. PM, Scrum Master, Engineering Manager, they do also their service of organizing people. Architect doing something, I don't know, I'm an architect, I don't know what I'm doing. DevOps, for sure, the smart guys doing something with our infrastructure, but nobody knows what they do, but CI/CD should run in. UI UX developers, these people are actually creating some wireframes, and for some reason, this wireframes looks much better than front-end engineer does in the end. So all these people work together in the team. But how they do this? We can imagine like they interact some way, like I as architect really like some diagrams, yes, and there's people, they work like a computer components sending something, right? So to this layer and this layer, and they produce to like ideas to product backlog items, and these guys actually work as magical creatures. They produce solution and show to the product owner and PM do some other stuff. So all these things working together, and this schema is quite simple one, right? Because otherwise we won't be here. It's not just like that. It's something like that, because people need to interact with each other a lot, and the communication becomes so complicated. Even in this thing, when I'm talking about one team, right? But if we scale it out to the companies like 30 years ago, 40, when they start doing the banking applications, or they do health insurance, right? They become like crazy, like, oh, no. How we need to like organize them so the communication will be effective? Because like, according to Lean software development, and Lean is the basement of everything, you may wonder Lean exists much before IT appears, and it become a base for Kanban, for Agile, and other stuff. Extreme programming was done by analyzing this stuff. Communication become the biggest waste. And according to IT theory, if we go to big data, networking, I/O, input-output becomes the biggest issue in scaling out. That's what we face. And when they say, and when they in Scrum or in any Agile certification, when they say what the size of the team, they say it not just because this is the only true, or we need to believe in that, because like the practice show that communication degrades so rapidly when we reach this 10, 20, 12 people. So we need to optimize it somehow. And then people of the past doing something like that. So let's divide this. Let's say business analysts will work on that based on ideas provided product owner. And then UI UX designer will do this. An architect that will think from the technical perspective. And we will simply divide them and say every communication will be so narrowed, so we will eliminate every waste here, right? Why not? We will think about like, we will scale every part of that so it won't be inefficient. And we have to make this formal, because otherwise the communication won't be efficient one, right? This is the way how they think about production in software development these days, like 50 years ago or something. And we need to put someone in the middle that will coordinate everyone, and then it becomes, for some reason, looks like Kubernetes. I don't know why they did it this way. And this is the way how Waterfall created. And the Waterfall is kind of cool thing, because they just try to think like, we need to optimize communication. Communication is a waste. And like, we divide to phases, right? And we will create something and then pass it. And we will do this formal handoffs, because you as a PM or some manager, high manager of this project, you don't want to have a backward communication. You just want to pass from one person to another, from one phase to another, and you otherwise will be in such a big mess. So you will specialize team, and they will work really effectively inside. And they will be loosely coupled, because the process is described 100% opposite to Agile, actually. And they are cohesive inside. They can work really efficiently. That's fine. You wonder why Waterfall is really good, but now they still have long return of investment. And this is quite interesting part, because long return of investment is not a big deal. We have buildings around here, and return of investment for the one building here is more than 1 year. It's like kind of cycle of development of software, and nobody dies, because and they have much more money, bigger budgets than us. But what's wrong? The trouble here is Canafin framework. There's this crazy thing pronounced like Canafin. Because it's not English word. Waterfall can solve only just part of these types of tasks, only clear and complicated. Because we can do this with them, try to find the best way and produce things. But funny part that chaotic or complex things is, for some reason, I don't know why people try to automate chaotic and complex things, but so software becomes more interesting in this part and Waterfall fails. Because we need to act and then sense and then change something, right? So this is actually what Agile claim to solve. And Agile is a word. Actually, you should know it's not a noun. So it's Agile methodology. Otherwise, it's not an even sentence. Agile who? And Agile methodologies, I will mention here generally two of them is Scrum, generally, and Kanban. So just to narrow down, because there is other ways to organize people in Agile manner, like extreme programming. Doesn't mean any Kanban other stuff. What they say, we need to let people communicate the way they want to, and do not make it formal. And product owner will simply pass the ideas. If you see that they pass product backlog items with acceptance criteria, this is not what Agile meant. Acceptance criteria and all other stuff for you. Just read Scrum Guide. They are informal, and team should collect it inside. This is part of it. We need to empower team to make this decision how they do this, and they will produce solution. Everything is fine, like it's proved, right? But the only trouble here, the team is limited. Why? Because we need to make communication informal, and informal means shared context most of the time. We don't need to establish specific communication. Like you may just think as a developers, right? If you have informal communication, that means that lots of things exist and implied in context. You may tell people not all the things that you know, because they know all the rest. That will speed up communication. Once you have no shared context, communication degrades really fast, because you need not just send the information, but you need to send additional markup for this payload, as like every protocol in internet works the same way, like CRC and other stuff. This is local, of course. This is just inside the team. And the team becomes autonomous, really loosely coupled with other parts of the project, if there are many, and it becomes like a cohesive unit that delivers something with really short return of investment. Troubles come when we need to organize lots of different teams in Agile. They are too informal, and they are not not ready working in formal approach when they need to interact with each other. So they're too loosely coupled then. And it's become a nightmare for everyone who worked with lots of teams like NLS or SAFe. This framework saying that you can do assemble product in the end, but actually this is kind of the biggest issue of every scaled solution, because in the end, they are forced by the thing described in Conway's law. The way you organize, you have to organize your architecture. This is the only way that, and they say like, if you consider in Conway's law and build your architecture the way your team can deliver independently, then you can assemble. But does it mean that you assemble something? No, you just failed assembling the product. It doesn't exist. You need to you enforce it to follow the architecture in a specific way. Or you fail with architecture and then you fail with infrastructure and other stuff. And we saw it so many times when we say, like, we follow in microservice oriented architecture, and then DevOps say, if you want to deploy your microservice, you need to define in deployment pipeline which microservices you want to deploy as well. Every time you hear this, mean that this is not microservice architecture anymore. no dependencies implied in microservice. But they say it, they do it, they failed it. Once they did it, like they failed with organization structures, etc., etc. And the other stuff that's actually limit us here is Amdahl law, which goes to parallel computation. And anyone who tried to organize streams of a really big project face that when you cannot simply speed up everyone and say we run 5, 10 streams in parallel and they will deliver in the same manner. No, they won't, because depending on which portion of the tasks of work can be parallel, they are limited. So, and you know, this chart based on computer evaluation and people is much like you can treat people and humans as really poor computer, and they will do it much worse than that. So considering these two parts, we need to think really critically about organizing people inside a medium group of people, right? So when it's not one team anymore, but it's not as safe for now, because it definitely affects architecture and team performance. And the approach itself becomes more obvious when we think about that we don't want to assemble solution, not always. We don't want to follow microservice architecture all the time, because there are lots of evidence that it's mistreated. People don't understand how it works. People want to have a distributed monolith or like modular monolith, but they have too many people. They have like 10 people, software developers, and they are stuck. What the Scale Agile do, like they have separate backlog, separate teams, separate components, and you need to be really act as a magician, so you divided them the best way. When you plan a solution, you need to be sure that, let's say, the content management system, let's say this part will run alongside with, I don't know, some core thing, and the other portal or admin will be at the same pace, and you will plan your resources according to the plan, and it won't be the case like that still whole the work will stress the main one and they will fail. Instead of that, we can do one backlog with a bigger team. Or let's say this is my IT department dedicated to this project, and my IT department can be like 20, 40, 60 people working on the same thing. And thanks to lots of different approaches for time management, we can have one input, one inbox for our backlog, and have one solution here. And we can use any approach we want to, and we are not limited. We can dream about that. But what limits us? We today will just a scratch of this approach from like a really high angle for the group of people that works up to 40, because I have never worked more than 40 people with this approach. But for that amount of people, it works fine. Of course, you need to understand that you shouldn't apply it every time for 40 people, right? So because like if you have this specific input that is actually good for 15, 20 people to accomplish in 1 year, maybe you need to think about it. But if you see like this is totally divided, you may do it in separate, and it's obviously goes to infrastructure separately. Why should you overcomplicate things? And with that, another term has to be used because I'm going to use it a lot. Here, the crew is really close to team. They also work together, but they work not on your business. They work on one product backlog item. This is general idea, and crew is not a team. Team really permanent stuff when you start your project with several streams, several teams. You assign, you will do this, you will do this, and you will do that, and they will work on this stuff for months. These guys will work on product backlog item several days, maybe one sprint, something like that, and then they will disappear. And crew exists within your group of people. We don't care about, is it team, is it department, whatever. These people are dedicated to one project. And for this one, we still have to solve some issues that the approach introduces. Because since we remove the boundaries within this group of people, we need to solve it. First of all, is excessive communication. Amount of people grows. It has to be solved the other way. Knowledge replication, we know it. When we try to groom a story within the big team, it's become a nightmare because everybody tries to understand everything. And solve representative bottlenecks. This is another thing that actually blocks from growing. We have only one product owner. Still, we have one Scrum Master. What should we do? So the communication itself have two different types. This internal and external one. They have different approach how to deal with them. And internal communication, if we won't do anything, it's just your big team communicate and do lots of stuff. But with crew communicate within it, not communicate with other things. So they are working on one specific stuff. So they will talk about this stuff, if they do or not. And they won't communicate with the rest of the team until it's required. So the communication paths are cut. The other thing is external communication, which goes mostly to our daily meetings and like Scrum meetings, Agile meetings, whatever. So daily, something like that. So if you follow extreme programming on Kanban, there is no dailies. Thanks God. If you want to make it faster, so just remove it. Refinement also doesn't exist in Kanban anymore at all, which also fine. And planning. And retrospective is something that slips out of the solution because retrospective require everyone to work on optimizing your process. So I won't mention how to solve the retro because I don't have idea. Still, you can optimize your retrospective way to do it. There is lots of tools to do that. And Miro is not the best tool for running retrospective for such a big team. We did it for a team of 25 people, and we complete retrospective in 1 hour, just for you to understand. It can be optimized. But daily and refinement is like the biggest issue and big headache for the team when they start doing this last day of sprint, and you spend all the day to refinement, demo session, retrospective, and everybody just simply stop their work. And you won't do this for the team of 40 people. For the daily, generally, if you want to organize your team the way it is optimized, most of the people tend to work on their own task. And they work on this task really long period of time until they do it. And every daily, if you organize into crews, of course, you want to do it as fast as possible because work in progress is one of the waste type. That's why crew should have the size applicable to accomplishing the task as fast as possible. In that case, this transition when you parallel work between several people, not working this way, the communication in daily doesn't look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things saying the same. And again, you have your experience in projects when from day to day things doesn't change. Everybody works on the same thing and nothing changed. You're simply not interested in daily in that case. And people with growing amount of people, this become ridiculous. Everybody just simply saying the same. If you do it this way, you concentrate on stuff. You maybe know this thing when they switch focus from one person saying, what I did, what I will do, what obstacles I have to, what we did according to task, right? But again, it still doesn't work because you see that the people working on this, and they do not organize themselves into something. The core part of the approach, as I said, is crew, and crew will work on the task. And 1 and 2, they work on really limited, and they are not interested in doing it really long period of time until this task actually the big one, which is the biggest pros of the solution, right? So you can choose the proper size of your team to assign to the feature. And again, it will change. And again, the other stuff. So this is general idea what will optimize daily. Of course, it doesn't sound convincing. Still, the idea of reducing amount of things to share and change them rapidly will increase motivation in daily stand-ups. If you see that it doesn't work, of course, you can switch to internal team communication. So they simply put down some ideas like, I want to highlight troubles I have inside, but not do your daily stand-up as a report. About knowledge replication. Actually, this is one of the key things in big data when we are talking. The more nodes included in your topology to replicate information, the more input-output operation you will have, the more networking will be. So if there is some amount of people know something and they replicate data, that's actually what we do during refinement, what actually we do during daily. We have to replicate data because we want to use power of the crowd, and people will do this team emergent effect when they may come to some idea, and the part of the idea come to one person and another part of another person. This is why we have to replicate data here and information, but it's really costly. Like you may treat it like in indexing data. So everybody understands, like if you when you insert something into database, the biggest performance eating of the database is when you create index. So the only way to deal with that is replace replication with partitioning. So you don't need to replicate data for everyone. That's where it goes to crews. When these people who knows about something, they share with just part of the people who are going to work with that. This is critical thing. And when you think about it, you may find like during your meetings when you say, we don't need this person on this meeting, like DevOps don't need to listen to our project issues or something like that. We may he may be free. The same thing goes here. So if these people won't work on that, why we need them? The only answer here is we want to have a backup, right? So if one person simply got sick or go to vacation, we need to have sun on vacation, right? We need to have more people in the crew, so they will replace it. The same thing goes to like how information is treated in solutions like Cassandra. Cassandra doesn't store in every node every key value pair, right? So there is a backup for like they have 2 or 3 copies depending on how secure, how fault tolerant you want to be. For us, don't need to have the same thing here. You may have 1 or 2 additional person who will share this. So when you need to do this, when you do grooming, of course, when you try to discuss things, but these people will be the only active who works. And if you find that you're not performing well, or there is like not enough people for person is missing for any reason, so you can ask in the team or any one of the 3 people who can join and help you. But still, you will keep the rest of the team not knowing about that stuff. About refinement, how it should be. Refinement, some recent, at least for me, invention of Scrum Guide. Before that, there was no such word refinement. That was separated to several stages. And for those who know me from different slides, I sometimes use this wording, technical design. This one is preparation part when someone reads idea or requirements, whatever, passed from business analyst and product owner to a specific person, which is feature lead. This is first time this term exists here. Just believe this person will play the significant part in the approach. The second one is grooming itself, when the requirements are already checked with technical design step, so we don't need to involve everyone. So it's just groom, so it's limited right now. Then we need to task decomposition if you want to understand like what the troubles is. It's not a Scrum, it's not an Agile. Who knows it? Who found? If you believe this is Scrum, it's not Scrum. Because Scrum say tasks are informal. I should start my sprint with tasks is not divided into subtasks and estimated in Scrum in story points or something like that. And you need to start a technical design and stuff within the sprint. But for some reason, we've faced so many customers that passes to you so formal user story. Then now it is really good to spend some time before you start doing things and commit to that. Before when it's informal, you commit. You can commit. You can say, okay, I didn't understand it. We don't like this part of it. Go away. It was not formally defined. Once it's formally defined, it's better for you to spend this time to decomposing things. Then estimation, which actually can do done by crew as well. And you may wonder, we don't need planning with everybody. You need planning when you have story points. I'm referring to another session with project with estimations. If you wonder, you may find on our channel. And planning is something that when PM can play with figures. So also quite can done in parallel. And then demo session for everyone. This is for funny time, like for you to eat pizza and see how everybody in your team show how this stuff doesn't work properly to your product owner. And actually, this one become a mess, maybe not, depending on how you are preparing to demo session. And like an advertisement, there is additional session maybe will come in the future, which I call, or it's called in internet, demo-driven development, where this demo session is put as one of the key parts of the development cycle. And with that, as far as you can see, these things can easily be scaled with a big amount of team because it is done in parallel. With the refinement you face every time, it becomes a nightmare. The more people involved, the more communication become. About so representative bottlenecks, there are like kind of 3 of them, and I also would say like once you have this person who do something, so you can scale it as well, because the same thing happened in database. In NoSQL database, they have a quorum of lead nodes, right? So these lead nodes do something. So if you won't have it, you will have trouble. Why? Because when I worked on this solution first time, I worked with my team of big data developers. That's why we use lots of big data stuff here. So we have a product owner and business analyst actually scaling product owner really fast. The only thing here is business analysts, these type of people doesn't work as in team a lot, right? So mostly single person in the team. So they also need to communicate, and maybe some troubles here, but they will learn also fine. And the next one is project manager, agile, ceremony master. Not Scrum. That could be anyone. We had Scrum Master, 3 Scrum Masters for 12 people. And was not a dedicated Scrum Master who spent 100% of their time doing Scrum Master things, but there was a role for software developers, they did it. And it's much easier if you do it this way, because you shouldn't run by one person singularly this one thing and help everyone, but you may everyone could decide like, I'll be the one, I will be Scrum Master for dailies, and this is it. This is my Scrum Master role. It's enough for such a big team to be Scrum Master for dailies. I will be Scrum Master for retrospective. I will be the one who will see and moderate groomings, right? And other stuff. Of course, there should be someone who is in charge of them and will help and ensure that the practices are the same, but still you need to scale this person. And this one, actually, the delivery manager, more or less, they won't be as efficient if they will be the one, but they can most of the time replace with the resource manager who can play bigger role in the project, right? So this people also not involved in direct management, but with the bigger team, you need to have this part scaled as well. So what is a crew? How it's composed? This is a general thing, because like as I describe it as how it works briefly, and the topic is so complex, so it's not there is no straightforward way to like dive into this. But for these 9 people who don't know what they think of, they can be organized some way. Like the crew may consist of these people, 3 of these 2, or one crew may be just one person. Why not? Because DevOps can be one person who is working on the stuff, and there can be at the same time one team who overlaps, and these 2 guys actually participate in 2 crews, and this one as well. And the interesting part here that if in this iteration I have this combination of crew and another day I will find the better fit, because task changes and it requires more resources in one place and less resources in another, while the said guy of DevOps still continue working solely, and really glad that nobody wants his time for something else. So as I said, crew composition is temporary. You may keep it, right? But when should keep it? This is the interesting question. So we have a pool of product owner team, which from my experience contains product owner, business analyst, UI UX designer, solution architect as well. So they produce product backlog items together. And development team of software developers, QA engineers. Crew will work like that. So we simply assign this for some time and some another, or they may overlap. And the biggest thing here is they work on one code base if you want to. So we are not forced, as I said before, to separate and have this specific part or this specific part, and you don't need to like create approach to deliver things. So for you just understand, like if there is a specific admin console, right? Just imagine admin console for big solution, but there is another team, another microservice that do stuff, and they edit feature, and suddenly they want to configure this feature in admin console, and admin console is driven by the other team. The deployment of that will be a nightmare, or separating them into tasks also will be, because you need to say, okay, the configuration there exists, but there is no UI yet in admin console, or you need to force, let's say, a micro front end and say that your team that works on some stuff actually produces micro front ends for your admin console. And so your team should be ready for that, and maybe you're limited to technology right now. So this is kind of thing that me as architect, I really fancy, because I use architecture not in my infrastructure, but somewhere else. So we spread the idea. So what the feature lead is? Actually, the only thing that this person leads the crew. And since we do not have enough project manager to lead our team anymore, or team lead, it's too big for the team to be led by one person. Each feature should be led by someone who is responsible for that. So this person drives end-to-end delivery of a product backlog item. Generally, once the feature is somehow formed and put to backlog and become a priority for the team, there should be a person who is going to lead this one. It's really hard, and not everybody would like to take this responsibility. That's why team lead actually burned out by the end of the project. If you will do it for the feature lead, it will burn out by the end of the product backlog item. That's why it's not a permanent role. For feature lead should claim resources in the team, right? The same thing is done in big data. When you want to run a specific job in a cluster, this cluster should go to the resource manager and claim resources that will run this job. The same thing should be done by feature lead. Hey guys, I have a really interesting task. We want to introduce integration with this microservice. And, oh, that's boring. But I really love to work with that people. They will introduce a new API. Who's gonna work with me, right? So this has to be kind of that. So we claim resources, people come, and we are now at a crew. Ensure that PBI meets definition of ready. Definition of ready is not a part of Scrum guide. And as I said, if we want to add it, specifically, it means our product backlog items are not really user story. They're a bit formal. Now, follows technical design session. That's my part. I have never talked about it here, but this part, as I said, ensures that product backlog item is ready for grooming and it doesn't contain stupid questions. It won't be like, we have question. Oh yeah, this question is open, but I will return to you in 2 days. And so for that, this person has to drive it. And as far as you can see, feature lead is not one person. So that's why, thanks God, it scales a lot. And eliminate obstacles, of course. Before that, team lead was the only one feature lead for everyone. Yep, and team lead or project manager eliminate these obstacles, right? And it's really also critical because sometimes you need to go to the other vendor and ask them, what's going on, guys? Where is documentation of updated API? Where it is? Please send us. So there has to be someone who is accountable for that and ensures that PBI meets acceptance criteria and definition of done. Of course, there should be accountable person. One person, crew or team cannot be responsible for delivering an item. This is just doesn't work this way with people. Role mix, of course. A person can participate in more than one crew, as I said, and of course, you can be a feature lead in one team and one crew, and be just regular member in another. Or feature lead doesn't imply that you are a software developer. It can be QA. It can be junior even if he or she feels that right now I'm really feel enthusiastic and have some energy to do this. Drive it to the end. And it's really interesting because not every junior are really good in, let's say, testing things or writing code. Sometimes they have this skill in managing people. They found themselves lots of motivation here. And in the end, you eliminate one of the waste that was found in Lean is unused talent. Unused talent here is the key thing for feature leads. And the other part that you need to ensure that people should rotate. People tend to come to the features that they worked before on the same piece of code, right? So they will organize themselves into departments within your team if you want to rotate them or force to rotate. And every time when we say rotation, for rotation, you need to pay to onboard, and you pay for that for what reason? First of all is data replication. Again, one person goes, another come, they need to learn. This is replication of data come to them. And for this replication, you pay this time to check the code if it's ready or not, and you increase your readiness and scalability. Not everyone understands, when you rotate people, what you gain. You gain that flexibility. The other thing is the shared code ownership. They might be people, we won't say that front end and back end will share the same code base, right? Because they're specialized. But still within one chapter of people working on the same skills, they share responsibility and ownership over every piece of code base. And they can go to this place and change it. And now it's not like I'm the god of this specific component, you won't change anything here. No, it shouldn't be like that. Because like next day people quit, you need to replace him or her. So limitation of the approach. You shouldn't do this in small and regular team because it won't work for this amount of people. And if there is a scaled agile framework, some of them save less if it's already introduced. You may do it if you see that for some reason you have a component size of 2 teams. It might be the case sometimes. It's crazy. Like they become so stupid when you come to them and ask, "What should I do? I need 12 developers here." You need to divide it. You need to come to your architecture and divide it, or you need to like squeeze it, and then you fail deadlines because like you need to double it in time to delivery. Like everybody will wait until it's done, right? If it's already in place, sorry, nobody. You will have a holy war. Architects enforce radical MSA. Yes, there are people who enforces that. So then your architecture will be radically ready for this separation. Might be the case that the solution won't come because they will say, okay, what the benefit? It's already divided. Okay, it's divided. And the team has limited experience in XP Agile. Right, so it won't work if people won't be so good in Agile because they don't want to take responsibility at all. They don't want to be a feature lead for any reason. So that's why it is, first of all, you need to like encourage them to learn a bit so they will be free and organize themselves around the code and ownership they will have, not just simply limit them on one single solution. So about solutions. For the cases, like as I said, for a small team, you just simply go as you are. You maybe even should come to the Kanban because you actually, the refinement session and estimations is a really hard and costly thing. People fail the estimation, so it's simpler to come Kanban approach. For 5 to 7, yeah, you can go as you like with any other solution. For the team of software developers, oh yeah, it's really funny because like they are really tend to replace each other even if we are talking about big data engineers, just like the same people. If it's not cross-functional, it's become less effective. But yeah, a remote team, you don't care. It's you can work right now after COVID. Everybody goes remote. Semi-divided team, now it's a solution for semi-divided team. The only way to solve them and help them for semi-divided team, not divide them anymore and organize in a bigger team this way. Extreme cross-functional team, the same thing. You won't scale extreme cross-functional team until you introduce more people in specific bottlenecks. So if you want to have a cross-functional team, you might have one BA. You should have one DevOps. But one DevOps for this team who has only one backend developers is not good. Then you have 3 backend developers, 2 front-end, 2 mobile, and you doesn't fit to Scrum anymore. But what is 2 mobile? It's nothing actually when you develop things, if you want to introduce a feature. So that's where also the only way how to you deal with that. So you easily find yourself with a team of 12 developers in cross-functional team, which is not Scrum anymore. Team of platform teams, right? Yeah, that's where I invented this approach. We did it, and it was really funny because part of the team continue working on the core things, and part of the team working or supporting others. And everybody don't like to talk with people who use your solution, right? So we rotate them, and everybody understood why we should go to this this work and do it because nobody liked, but everybody do it, you know. Only 2 weeks, guys, and you simply switch and go back to our place and do funny stuff instead of talking to people. Medium, right? This is, as I said, this is another like definition. Medium size is only thing, and for 40 people, yep, you may go to any Scale Agile framework, and if you would like to have a specific core team for your specific component, this is too large for you to split it, or maybe it's too medium to split it into several components or your architecture. More server-oriented, or you don't want to go to microservices because it doesn't look like microservices. So maybe you can organize within this 40 people. This Teamless Agile, which is the topic of this today's session, and there is more. It was product roadmap, technical design, tech debt management, estimation, and risk management. Technical design wasn't presented yet, I suppose, but it's ready. And other stuff that I can tell you more here in this skill tree. And if you want to, you may leave comments or talk to me, say you would like to hear more about the stuff. And thank you. Please use this bar to come somewhere in our company and see more stuff. And there is a cheat sheet here of key points to go Teamless Agile. Thank you again. I think there is maybe some questions. No questions. Okay. No questions online. Please offline.
Yeah. From what I understand, this Teamless Agile is something similar to the team, the sports team. Like, for example, we have a team with athletes, and the crew is the part of the team that is actively playing on the field, right?
Kind of, yeah.
So,
but just imagine that this sport is kind of on different fields. You don't know amount of fields, yeah. And there is different sport, and you need here 3 people, here 5, and here I don't know 1, and every time it changes.
Yeah, everybody is the part of the team.
Yep.
It has to be like involved, and even if it's not actively doing something, it has to know something what is going on, right?
Not everything.
Yeah, but what you mentioned is this backup team.
Yeah. Yes. Right.
So, for example, if something is not taking part in the meeting, if this meeting is recorded, or there is a note after the session. So
okay.
If someone is taking that task, that's something that's the sort
okay.
To know.
Right. So I would say that onboarding someone from backup requires time, right? The same thing happened when we faced rebalancing in Kafka or Cassandra. When node dies, you need to replicate everything that this node knows, because you would like to keep the backup the same way. So it becomes rebalanced. It requires time, so it's natural. So when you say like people need to be onboarded, it's natural to spend something. Right? But this is the cost for you to have someone onboarded. It means like this, you shouldn't keep more things that is required for your active people. I wouldn't recommend to have more than required for those part who is active. So if they don't require meeting nodes, they won't do this. But to be the part, to be backup, you need to be like initiated first. So you need to participate in the grooming session. So you know about things that they are talking about. Yeah, and you ask questions.
What about the takeover? For example, someone is taking over the task of is going on vacation. So someone from the crew has to introduce the new crew member.
Okay.
How to do it? And it's natural?
Really, yeah, kind of. If you make it informal, right. So I definitely, myself, I prefer a more formal approach in managing the team. When you have a story, everybody understands what's going on. Story more or less formal, or it follows demo-driven development with demo scenario described it there, so everybody wants to understand what in the end they need to achieve, and then they divide it into subtasks, and the subtasks exist in the product backlog. This is ordered from the highest priority to the lowest, and this person participated in grooming, task separation, and estimation, and he simply take it from the backlog.
Also, because it depends, of course, from the period of time, right?
Right.
We still are working on the 2 weeks sprint.
Yep.
Okay, and this task should be done in 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And so another thing on the slide, there was mentioned that planning session is only for the project manager.
Yeah.
So the tasks are assigned by them, or it's like so everybody is doing this according to the order and priority.
Right. So generally, when I estimate the sprint, I calculate the team capacity, not velocity, but capacity, which is calculated by sum of amount of days of the person, amount of time this person work, multiply by non-meeting rate, multiply by non-scrum rate, because part of the task can be planned or estimated, part of them are not, like bugs, technical design, mostly spikes and bugs, and multiply by qualification, right? So I have this team capacity calculated in total for each type of resources. Then I have all tasks, and task definitely if it's subtasks, right? So it's marked in a specific way. So it's for backend, for frontend, mobile, DevOps, whatever. So I have a total sum, and I can say as a PM, Scrum Master, whoever, if I fit or not. I have priorities of the stories from product owner, and I will play simply with that. And if product owner don't like this, we simply switch it. And they cannot play against numbers. So you fit to that, to the team capacity, and then everybody simply pick these tasks.
And this, because there is the time of crew, and as you mentioned, the crew is responsible for specific functionality, like for example, there's feature build, right?
Yeah.
Because in my team, we have a similar approach, but we are working with Epic. So we have Epic owner, and within that Epic, we have tasks.
Right.
Is it similar?
Yes, you're just one step before you're approaching that, because it's more volatile, right? Here, product backlog item is like anything. I don't like user stories because user stories is just one approach. Product backlog item, what exists in Scrum Guide, then you work on this part as fast as possible. If you organize it in sequence, mean that every time you approach another item in your epic, you have to ensure that it have the same size. Otherwise, you need to change your crew according to the load. Or later you found that the utilization of resources is not balanced. One team work hard on delivering things that doesn't fit for some reason, another just waiting or do low priority things. That's why it has to be reordered every sprint. And people will organize this way. You simply will find that people, okay, I want to do the same thing as I did before. You should force them to change stuff. Like, we know you like this stuff, but we require only 2 people working on this today. You will go there. Oh, I hate this stuff. Yes, you hate it. Like everybody hates like writing tests on legacy code. But we need to do this because we're gonna start refactoring 2 sprints after that, right? That's why we come and make this unit tests.
Who is responsible to encourage developers to become a feature lead?
This is kind of right. Yes, right. So somebody should be responsible for that. So you have to take this responsibility. If you doesn't give them anything, Like they want to do this, but this is kind of a level of maturity for the team to accept this role. So if they won't accept, as I said, that this is limitation. If they want to organize themselves, it's actually what happened in Kanban, right? So in Kanban, there is 2-3 people working on one stuff, trying to deliver it as fast as possible within the team. They actually do this. They have no team lead, feature lead, but they are working together. And if nobody is responsible to pushing this forward, they may stuck. But Kanban, in nature, pushes it forward every time, and they don't work on anything else, right? So they simply grab it and work, grab it and work. For that case, I want to scale, right? That's why more people are involved into this crew part, which actually in Kanban, small 2-3 people. And you need someone to take responsibility, accountability for this thing. Otherwise, they will stuck and say, okay, we have no access to database, we are done. Why you haven't completed? We have no access to database. You can ask someone, like in the infrastructure team, here is this person, like, because nobody is motivated to complete it. That's why you need to ask someone to take this responsibility. Otherwise, it won't work. Actually, what the team lead does. But just imagine PM or team lead now do this work, right? They will be overloaded, and now you shrink to like 12 people or something, because bottleneck created there. So delegation.
And because you mentioned that you use that approach many times,
right?
And what are the results? Like the delivery is improved. There is no things that are delivered later, or it improved the time that the functionality is delivered.
First of all, there was funny thing.
Improve just the developer
Involvement. Of course, it improved that part. This is really hard to measure because, like, this is not a clinical trials when you can compare to teams how they do. But when I introduced it first time, one part of the platform team used this approach, and then we introduced it. When they see it's effective, they adopt it in the other part. So that's where it become effective. So once we did it, it allows us to have a bigger component on board. That's the main idea. And we simply roll this component one, another, the third one, the fourth one, rather than do this really long component implementation in one stream and another in another. So we deliver it in priorities. So that's the idea. So you have a KPI of delivering things faster.
I understand that at the beginning there is some friction.
Sure.
Everybody has to adapt to the new approach,
yep.
to become responsible, because it's easier to just do the same way as
you do before.
See, like someone is specialized in front end, someone is specialized
okay.
in back end.
Got it.
But in the end, it's beneficial.
Yep, it is. Change management is another thing. I'm not talking about requirements change management, but organizational change management is quite a big topic, of course. So, like, people tend to do the stuff the way they did before. Okay.
So
the first, the second, the third.
You mentioned limitations, right?
Yep.
But what is trade-off? I mean, compared to what trade-off do you face to face?
Of course, small team, there is no way to organize the big team with a small team, right? In Scale Agile framework that actually work, in that case, there is no Scrum Masters, right? I can tell it, but there is Scrum Masters online maybe. Of course, Scrum Masters here is people who are certified. They're interested in continue doing Scrum the way they learn because it's their ticket to IT industry, right? So I would say that we will mostly face the holy war and the question of existence for them. When you fight against and say it should be done this way, it won't be efficient anyhow. until you say, okay, you don't have power over me here. That's what I did. For my 12 people, I will introduce my approach in my board, my way. And you will see if it works or not. This game I played like 5 times. When I say it's my team, I do my approach and you will see results. Not always people like to do this way. So maybe you need to do it, because scalable agile framework is really a monstrous but really shiny thing that I always love to participate in if it works properly. If it's not, no, I don't know. Maybe you need to change the place. Once you get.
No, I mean, it was mostly orientation, but I'm asking about what you're losing if you would take this approach.
What I'm losing.
Yeah.
Sure. The main loss here is that people need to learn more, so they might be demotivated when they take this responsibility. They're forced to do this way. The other thing is you may found that it doesn't fit because of architecture, right? Because you already divided it somehow, and you will see it doesn't work. People continue doing this stuff. It's more costly to claim resources. Doing this stuff like this overload. You may simply drop it off if you see like they naturally divided. That's actually one of the way you can start doing things without knowing the architecture, and then it emerges, and then you split. So it shouldn't be like for ages done this way. I would say that, yeah, and retrospective and what else? Retrospective and demo still big.
This is not a result. Another last question. For me, it seems like a kind from manager perspective. So what I mean is how to measure results from manager perspective.
There's nothing to do for managers.
There is managers here exist, like you how to manage the KPIs. KPIs here for us is what priority stuff come to the sprint here and what is discarded. And then you may replay the whole sprint and say, imagine we have these 2 teams or 3 teams instead of 1. Which things will come to sprint instead of that, right? And then we found that bigger features won't fit. You will need to cut it and cut it properly. And this is art of cutting one story into 2 without losing compatibility or make it fully compatible. If you stop in the middle for any reason, it is complete, right? Everybody saw it when you stop in the middle. It's incomplete for ages, and then you need to continue. So it means like it's partially done, it doesn't produce any value, and you simply lost everything until you completed somewhere day before, right? So you need to complete the feature as fast as possible. That's what you got here. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. So basically, this approach requires that high ownership people, like, and really senior people.
I would say so until you like they shouldn't be senior in coding or their primary skill. They have to be aware about agile extreme programming, right? So this part, I did it in EPAM, where it's mandatory for everyone starting from junior to be ready for that. So Scrum was included into junior lab. So you cannot become a senior, and senior is kind of our M3. You cannot become senior without being ready to play Scrum Master role in your team. So that's kind of prerequisition. Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't quite get when the crew size is defined.
Nowhere. When you, as a feature lead, see that this amount of people is enough or not. If you see that feature is bigger, and you see it during grooming, you may involve more people here.
Okay, so this would be my following question regarding the estimations. So you're estimating like let's say, quite a big increment that you want to achieve within a sprint.
Yep.
And you see that according to your estimations, your crew won't be able to achieve it.
So-
you already like post grooming, decomposition.
Yep. Right. So you face a problem that you cannot solve. You need to go to someone else.
Okay.
So you need to include architect in your subteam, and this architect will cut this feature into two. Or you cut it yourself.
Would be an option to get more people into the crew.
Sure, you should be self-organized. Like a cross-functional self-organized team, the same thing applies here as to agile team. Okay, who's the third? Yep.
I looked something first, but I want to ask you.
Sure.
I understand you after this approach, yeah?
Yep.
You are the first man who.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah,
Actually, there was someone who could do the same, right? Or really close to that.
yeah. But you like make it shape and give the name of this approach. Yeah?
Okay, yes, I tried my best.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Another question. Like we have this crew, like, and they are responsible for some features. Right?
Yep.
What about fixing bugs? There is a crew for maintenance, or we are specifically fixing bugs within the features? Because
Okay.
like fixing bugs is always punishment, so nobody wants to be part of
Right.
that.
In that case, you have this backup team, of course, and you have active people. And when we plan the team, as I said, there is a Scrum rate or development rate, or kind of not development rate. Yeah, development or planet rate. You have capacity in your team should be spent on bugs. You shouldn't reach more or say like, there is so many bugs, so we need to reduce team capacity for that amount and drop some functionality to fit to the bugs.
Yeah, but this bug fixing should be done within that specific crews, because we have the same capacity for the sprint, right?
Yep.
It doesn't matter. The question is, should someone be like dedicated to the bug fixing?
Okay, so the answer, you won't like the answer, I suppose. First of all, I like more a Scrum-bound approach where tasks or core task of a story, which is development, automation tests. I dream about that. Test cases written within one sprint, and full analysis, grooming, other stuff done before sprint, and testing and bug fixing done in the next sprint, right? Considering saying that, I mean, I have the next sprint and crews are relocated, right? So we do not have these people anymore. The only people who exist right now in the team, the one who know about this more.
Okay,
So they may be allocated to that spot, or may not. It will be less costly to allocate them, not others. But everybody understands that you need to learn more about the stuff.
Okay, so for
right?
example, in last sprint, our feature was to create something, like for example,
Yep.
new functionality.
Mhm.
We deliver it, and we have a new sprint, and we get the feedback from customers.
Yep.
So now the new goal will be to face that bug issue.
Sure.
And so we create a new crew.
No. It's bugs. Like they just simply come not to crew. Crew is for planet development, where you have this initiation of the crew in grooming.
Yeah, but
There is no grooming for that part.
we
for
have
bug.
a lot of bugs.
Yeah.
You have to get rid of it very quickly.
Yes, sure. That's why you put it in the beginning of the sprint, and everybody should come to these bugs and try to take it.
Okay, so the bug fixing is outside of this crew.
Like what I imply when I say about this approach that everybody is motivated to deliver things. Considering saying that when you have this list of bugs, you as a software developer highly motivated to take the bug you know about something. So you naturally takes things that you understand. You may order them to the top. So because QA team should order them by severity and may be reviewed by product owner, assigning them priority because they are different things, right? And then they are ordered, so you should take it from the top. And some Punisher Scrum Master should check if the lower priority task were picked instead of higher, and say, why you have picked that? You should took this one.
Okay, so then we don't have this whole feature approach, the ceremony. There's one bug, one person fix it, and that's it.
I have never saw bug fixed by the team solely, like the whole team, 2 people. You can do it by 2. This is extreme programming and pair programming, right?
Ethic approach. We have ethic, like
Right.
delivery issues, and we have a lot of
Right. So there are several types of bugs then. So one type of bugs is critical, or let's say blocker bugs that simply block the feature to be delivered. We shouldn't consider story is done until this bug is done. They may be critical, the second level, so they have to be taken. And while the blocker bugs has to be fixed no matter how, the critical should be considered against the team capacity. So they are taken, and then you see the rest of the bugs come to the next sprint, or something like that, or they just simply decommissioned. The other part of the bug, they may be so big that they require development. So because like there is a tester-driven development, so tester, not test-driven development, where QA engineer defines requirements during testing. So you may cut it or say you introduce just new requirements. So this is new backlog item. It has to come to the team, check it, groomed, separated, estimated, and took to the sprint. When the sprint comes, sprint is already started. You know, we did planning. So I would consider taking these things in the next sprint. Of course, you can always discuss with your product owner to take something like that as fast as possible while removing something else.
Because we have the same.
Yeah, for that. But again, it should pass all the steps. Otherwise, like if it's like a bug that require more people to be eliminated, maybe it's not a bug, it's a development.
Yeah, but it's the role of project manager because he's preparing the sprint, right?
This is role for the set of people calling a project manager. Otherwise, you will die for 40 people. Okay, yep.
One more question. In your company, you only you use such approach, or maybe you spread for different and other teams, like big teams like you.
You may find my title here as solution architect. I'm not the person who is responsible for sharing such approaches within the
I
company.
understand, but maybe someone try to do like you. Maybe.
I will be happy to hear if they do. But personally, no, this is the first time I presented like out loud. Everywhere that I come, I try to assist if the process is applicable and customer ready for that. Right? Not every project deserves this approach, at least because like not so many people involved.
And also, I can say I have a friend of mine. Yeah, he works in a very big, real huge company, American Walmart. Yeah. And he one of creator of their own product.
Yep.
It's a big product for different customers.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great product, and we have practice the same approach.
Sure.
We have no QA, we have no managers, we have no Shiva, we have on the team about 10 or 20 people, and they make a real huge product.
Yep.
And they supported about 5 or 7 years.
Right. That's what people do. Like you may you tend to find such solution companies like Funk or Volman because it's also a really big company because they can hire people with a higher qualification. This is kind of thing that they don't know. Actually, they can hire the one who can support this approach and then say, why not everybody just follow that? Because not everybody is everybody, you know, you just hire the best one. That's why they self-organize it. It's really fun, and that's how this thing actually evolved, because we self-organized it on ourselves. Like people who tend to be low-level computers in big data something pool. And then I thought, okay, there is serverless approach, and we do actually the same.
Thanks.
Okay. Yep, thank you, and I will leave the last here just for you. Thank you again, and there will be.
Yes, thank you very much for coming. If you have some time, please stay. Feel free to stay for networking, and there will be some pizza in a moment.
Oh.
Thank you.
Спасибо тебе.